What question do atheists have a hard time answering? I've heard a lot of people say this about atheists, that, we sound like we know everything, but is there anything, any question, any topic that we struggle with? And it's very tempting for me to say, well, I struggle to think about, how did the universe come to be? And how do I get through life when I don't believe there's something waiting for me on the other side? Or, I don't have hope or prayer to go to if I'm going through a difficult time. But I actually don't think those are hard questions, because when it comes to those questions of how did this come about? How did this happen? I think the answer is actually pretty simple. We can do the research on it. We can figure out those answers if we haven't already. Or maybe the answer is we'll never know. How did the universe come about? I don't know the answer to why it all began or how it all began. I don't know the answer to that, but I don't think you do either. And I don't think there's any problem or there's any reason to be ashamed to say that. I think where atheists struggle is sometimes answering the questions about why. Why did this happen? Or, why did my father have to die? Or why am I going through this battle right now that is making life so difficult? That's a hard question to answer, because if you're an atheist, you probably don't think that there's an answer to that question. No one's causing you to go through a rough time. You're not a pawn in someone's master plan, and God is saying well, this is the part of your life where you go through some shit. No one's doing that. So what happens then is, it's not a matter of answering that question for yourself, because you know that some stuff happens in your life that's good, and some things happen that are bad, and that's just the way it is. It's easy for us to answer that, but I think it's very hard for us to answer someone else's concern. When your best friend is suffering for whatever reason, and they say to themselves or to you, man, why is this happening in my life? I think that puts me as an atheist in a really awkward situation, because it's kind of a horrible thing to say to someone else. Well, there's no reason it's happening. You have cancer because that's just the way your body works. You don't want to say that to somebody else. So it's hard to give them an honest but emotionally compelling answer at the same time. So I think more than anything else, I struggle with how to deal with other people who ask me questions about why things are happening the way they are, because I don't always have a good answer for them that they want to hear. The best answer I can give them is the honest one, which is that there may not be a reason, or at least a good reason, for why you're going through whatever problem you might be going through in your life. And I think it's worth it for atheists to think about how they would respond to questions like that, because it's not one you want to be stuck in. It's not a position you want to be in where you're stuck without having an answer. My name is Hemant Mehta, and I write at friendlyatheist.com. Please leave your comments below.